Good morning, everybody. It's Shanda Sumpter here with 6 a.m. Coffee with Shanda, Monday through Friday. And this morning I want to talk about why do people not follow through when they say yes to an agreement or yes to working with you. And I'm going to talk about the 3 reasons why they don't actually do that. So as you're jumping online, hi, Christy Miller. Christy Miller, I was thinking about you at about 3 o'clock this morning. Lexi Burr, hi. Suzanne, hi. Hi, you guys on Instagram. How you doing? Hi. Awesome. Hi, Melanie. Hi, Claire. Hi, Joanna. Hi, Sherry. Hi, Jamie Bogan. Awesome, you guys. Good morning, Anahita, Kate. As I take a sip of tea. Okay, so I want to talk to you about why people don't follow through after they say yes to work with you. And what can you do about that personally so that you have a better follow through with people? So there's many reasons why people don't do it, but there's really 3 main things that if you focus on it, you're going to find that you have a better result. So number 1, think about yourself. When you don't sign an agreement, what's going on with you? Right? What's going on with you when you don't sign an agreement? You know you need a coach, but you haven't signed your agreement. You know that you want to speak, but you haven't paid for a sponsorship on a stage, right? Like, you know that you want to get on media, but you still haven't hired a media coach, right? So like, what stops you from taking the leap in the areas that you know that you really want in your life, right? Because there's solutions to everything we want. The only reason why we don't have it is because we actually haven't said yes to something, right? That's the only reason why we don't have it. We haven't said yes to something, to somebody helping us, to a product, a program. You know, this is what I know for sure. The long way for me and you to get to a vision or a dream that we want is to do it by ourselves. Now, I'm going to also do a full disclosure. I'm very much a God believer, and so I do life with God. However, God puts people in our lives. Coaches, trainers, consultants, mentors, the news, the Huffington Post, Forbes, Fox Network, becoming a New York Times bestseller. God puts all these resources in front of us, but yet so often we still have our feet dug in, our heels dug into the ground, and we're saying, not yet, not yet. And the reason why you're saying not yet, and the reason why other people say it to you, even if they got excited and said yes first, is actually because they're not sure. They're not sure. They still, when people say yes to you and they don't follow through on an agreement, it's because you really still haven't come to an agreement that they feel comfortable about signing or moving forward with you. So if you push and you push and you push, so what I find is that there's a group of people out there who will follow up like crazy, and good for you that you'll follow up, but are you pushing? Right? There's a difference between pushing and enrolling. There's a huge difference between pushing and enrolling. So you have to still follow up. But what you want to do is you want to find out what's really in between you and signing this agreement. What's really, and for yourself, it's very hard for you to be good at sales if you know that you need something in your life and you're still holding back. Because you don't have the power to walk people across the line if you're not walking across your own line, right? So pay attention to where you're logically talking yourself out of saying yes to something that you really want, right? And so let's just even play a game right now. What's something that you really want to happen in your business right now, right? So for me, I really want to hire a COO, a chief operating officer for HeartCore. And so then, by the way, I've been wanting to do this for about 6 months now. What's in between me, you, and having that a reality? So let's brainstorm. I'll just brainstorm on me because I love using me as an example because I don't take anything personal and I won't judge myself for not being good enough, right? We're just in the process together. If I judge myself on not being good enough, then what happens is I've already given my power away and I'm a victim. If I'm a victim, then I'm not getting what I want. I might get sympathy and love from other people who will tell me that I work hard enough and it's okay and I can slow down because they love me and they just want to unleash the pressure. But that still doesn't get me what I want, right? So if I look at a CEO, there was, I could hire a headhunter, right? I mean, that's what John Ashraf did, my friend John Ashraf, hire a good headhunter and have them actually go vet out the best people in the marketplace, right? There's so much great talent out there right now. Don't just hire because, or don't just step into something just to do it. You actually want to ask yourself, is this just the decision that I want? If yes, I want to hire a COO. What am I going to do and what am I willing to do to make it happen? I have never found my big goals happen from a place of I'm waiting till I'm ready. Let me repeat that. None of my biggest goals in life, having a baby, even getting married. Some of you guys might have been ready when you got married, but maybe that wasn't a stretch for you. You know, I've been wanting to get married since I was like 22 years old, right? So it took a long time before I got out of my own way and walked down the aisle with Ash, right? So getting married, having a baby, I wasn't ready for either of those. You know, not emotionally. I wanted them, but I wasn't ready. Growing a 7-figure company, growing a multiple 7-figure company, growing an 8-figure company, growing a multiple 8-figure company now. I don't feel ready. I don't feel ready to hire a COO. You know, I'm just being really transparent with you. Now I know I want it and I know I'm doing it because I know that no matter what, I don't want to struggle in operations of growing the company, right? So wherever you have a point of contention, wherever your clients have a point of contention, if they're on a phone call with you, they are a buyer. Eliminate the I don't have money, it's not the right time, I'm not sure if I'm ready for this. Those are all signs of the person is not enrolled. So just have the conversations with yourself so that you can be the leader that you need to be to walk people across the line and say, where am I saying I'm not ready or I'm holding back? And what would make me feel ready? And if it's something like better timing or more money, then you have to overcome that thought and let that go because that's a block. What you want to do is say, well, forget about those for a second. What really would make me feel like I would be ready to take this next step, right? And so for me, it would be clarity of a job description to hire a COO. It would be benchmarks of like clearly knowing what benchmarks that they would have to hit to make me feel comfortable with the investment and letting go of control. One of the benchmarks would be, see, I'm digging down. One of the benchmarks would be knowing that they've grown a company from the $4 or $5 million mark, which is what we passed this year, to the $100 million mark. I would want to know somebody has actually done that journey, and can they manage my company the way that I would manage it, to the standards that I would manage it, and be able to put in systems and operations that that maybe I don't even know we need, right? Like so, and this is just the beginning of the brainstorm. This helps unlock me from making a decision. If I take the risk and go interview, which I've been doing, then I still can't make a decision because I'm still in the first problem, which is unsure. Unsure about what am I getting? Does this make sense? Am I getting a good deal? Is this going to get us to our vision? You know, all of those type of things, right? The second thing is that when people don't make a decision, they also come from a place of, even if they get through their initial block about making a decision with you, or you get through your initial block, the next thing you have to contend with is, will this work? And if it doesn't, is it worth the risk? If it doesn't, is it worth the risk? This is something that people miss in sales all the time. You focus so much on convincing someone, or if you don't convince them, enrolling them in their vision, and you forget to talk about the risk management part. So when I do a sales conversation with someone, I often will say to them, I lay out the vision of what it is that they want and show them a plan on how, let's say, something like my PACE Club will help them get the foundation underneath them and make money this year, right? Now you got to talk about the what if it doesn't work, the worst case scenario. So the worst case scenario is that you learn how to build a buyer's list and you learn how to sell them so that you can rinse and repeat it and knock it out of the park next year. So you'll be further ahead if you jump in now versus waiting till an entire next year, then going through the program and getting, decent results, and then being 3 years away from having an explosion in your business, right? So it would make sense for you to jump in right now, because even if it's not perfect timing, even if, money's short, it would make more sense for you to borrow money, deal with imperfect timing, and not have to knock it out of the park your first round, than to leave it for another entire year to jump into the program, go through the process of learning, and then crush it the next year, which would put you 3 years from now from reaching your goal. Do you see that? So make sure that when you're working with yourself, you're being very clear about what is the risk if you don't take this step now? What is the risk if you do take this step right now? Both of those. Both of them are really important to be in every dialogue you have with yourself around buying something, and every dialogue you have with your client base around moving forward with you. So my question to you is this helpful? What do you think about, on Instagram, what do you think about starting a kids spa business? I need more information. I mean, the first question that comes up in my mind is, do kids value spas? I mean, I don't know, right? So I'm assuming you might know. So when you're running an idea, an offer that you're going to make in the marketplace, make sure that the inspiration doesn't just come from 1 or 2 people that you know. This is why I like to literally build audiences, buyers list first, and then survey the buyers list to make sure that I have a viable offer that will sell, right? Because I would hate to go create an investment, borrow money, and create a spa, and then there's not really a demand from the kids, right? So that would be my first question that I would ask you as a coach. Okay, so is this helpful, you guys? Lexi, I want to speak to thousands of people. Such a powerful message. This is awesome. None of the biggest goals of my life happen when we think we're ready. That's 100% true. But guess what? People, the smartest people I know, this is why I really believe everybody needs a coach. There's somebody, so I offered a program called the 1% Club. I'm now sold out. There's somebody that I know very dearly, very good friend of mine, that should have jumped in the 1% Club, and they didn't, because they're holding off to build their business more versus actually looking at the investment of what's my worst case scenario. Their worst case scenario is that they're going to double their business. I mean, I already know that. Their worst case scenario is that they're going to grow faster. Their worst case scenario is that I'm going to save them time. Now that's for that person. That's not for everyone. For some people, their worst case scenario might be that they only grow by an extra couple clients a year and break even with their investment. But then they know the knowledge, right? So sometimes some people's worst case scenario is that. Can you live with the worst case scenario? If you can, move forward. That is a decision-making conversation when you have with people. So when you're having sales conversations with people or coaching conversations with people, make sure, I really want to make sure you take this away. Make sure you paint the worst case scenario. Because if people are if they can get okay in their hearts with the worst case scenario, they can now make a decision over and above not perfect timing, not really great support from their spouse, not really great support, as far as money, they don't really have a lot of money, So, if somebody can get good with the worst case scenario, then they can make a decision to move forward. And in my experience I have been in sales since I was 16 years old. My dad had me selling in his company, other big companies, meaning that the accounts were, huge accounts for the company when I was 16 years old, just to practice. I gotta sneeze. Hold on. Sneeze alert. It's not coming. Okay, Carla Allen, how do you know with a guy if he was really a buyer or trying to date you? Or Kara, that's Kara, sorry, Kara. So Kara, how do you know with a guy if he's really a buyer or just trying to date you? It's such an interesting question. I used to battle with that when I sold real estate. And in fact, I dated some of the people I sold real estate to, because I think it comes with your own personal leadership on where your own lines are. Today I will tell you, well, I'm married today, but I've only been married for less than a year. And I will tell you that at some point when my leadership got much stronger, that conversation went away. It's really a distraction. So I now know that it doesn't matter to me if somebody's trying to date me or not trying to date me, right? I just focus on what I'm good at, and I focus on serving people. So if you're outward focused versus inward focused, you're going to find that those conversations just go away. They just do. So somebody might not agree with me on that, but I actually walked that road. And, who cares if they want to date you? Truly, who cares? I mean, have there been people that you've wanted to date that didn't care that you wanted to date them? I mean, there has been for me. There's been men that I've wanted to date, and I never got an opportunity to date them because I wasn't their type or they weren't available, right? So it doesn't matter. You just keep doing what you're doing in outward focus. Remember this, not everybody you serve or give to is necessarily a buyer. So if you could become generous with the way that you operate, like I even think about people who come in and serve my clients. The people who are the most generous that come in and serve my clients actually go work with them without them even having to make an offer, because they feel trust, they feel love, but that's how those people are behind the scenes, whether or not they're serving my clients or they're not serving my clients, right? So I exploded in my own company when I wasn't just generous with people who just needed my help and were broken, but I was just generous with everyone. Whether they needed my help, they were broken, whether they were an ideal client, whether they weren't an ideal client, whether there was somebody sitting at a table next to me and I overheard their conversation and I could make a difference. I started to become compelled and on a mission to make a difference where money was never a reason why people didn't take action in their life. And that served me in a huge way in growing my company and retaining my clients long term. Hope that helps, Kara. And I love that you asked that question, because I think that's a question that a lot of people struggle with, or a lot of beautiful women definitely do. Let's see. Good morning, Shanda, everyone. New pacer here. Awesome. Awesome, awesome. Okay. So any other questions, you guys? Jody, I want to be in the 1% club. My dream, my whole life. I'll be there soon. Awesome. Okay. Christy, love this worst case scenario thing. Okay. Okay, so all right, so here, takeaway from today on 6 a.m. Coffee with Shanda. And we'll be back tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Eastern, at 6 a.m. Coffee with Shanda. And please, if you have any requests for me to teach about this, teach about something specific on 6 a.m. Coffee with Shanda, please send me a private message on Instagram, or just pop it in the comments section on the thread on Facebook, and my team will pick it up and bring it to me, and I will look at it for a 6 a.m. Coffee with Shanda. It is giving and generous for you to give me that, because every day I'm coming up with content. Every week I sit down and I come up with content for the week about topics that I want to talk about. So if you give me topics, then that gives me something to work with, and it's generous and giving to me and makes my job easier, because Again, it comes down to generosity and service, and I will coach and train it if you deliver that information to me. So ask for what you want. So big takeaways today. Make sure that when you're in a sales conversation, the only reason why people don't follow through when they say yes and don't follow through with agreements, contracts, or the conversation with you, do what they say they're going to do, is because they're actually not enrolled. So they're unsure. So don't make them bad people. Don't make you bad people when you actually don't follow through with something. Be rigorous. Be rigorous with the conversation of, okay, I'm unsure or they're unsure. Let's figure out, what are they unsure about? Just say that. What are you unsure about? What are you unsure about? What's preventing you from actually making a decision to follow through on this? I know you want it, but I know that something's coming up based on the results that you have not signed your agreement. Secondly, make sure you paint the worst case scenario every time you have a sales conversation with yourself or with someone else, right? What is the worst case scenario so that you can make a decision? It is suffering. You are choosing suffering when you don't make a decision. Please do not choose suffering. It is bad for the people who love you in your life. It is bad for your client base to sit in suffering and for you to be a leader and leave them there, right? So paint the worst case scenario. If you have somebody who has not signed a contract and you're past the moment of the conversation, just go back and have the conversation. Just call them, email them, and say, you know what? I really want to know what's coming up for you. Like, care. Just care. I really want to know what's coming up for you because you haven't made a decision yet. And if the decision is too hard for them to make, then it's probably not the right decision. It's probably not the right decision. And so they're not ready emotionally, intelligently wise. Is that even a word? In emotional intelligence, they're not ready to make the decision, which means that if you paint the worst case scenario and they're still not making a decision, then chances are it's not a good fit. So learn how to sell to the right people, and the right people can make a decision to work with you on whatever it is that you're offering. Okay? All right, you guys, we'll end on that note. 6 a.m. coffee with Shanda, and have a really great day, you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.